Thanks for joining me in part 2 of this video. We are ready to continue. One thing that I wanted to check before we continue with this is you can adjust your smoothness. I think I mentioned it real briefly in the other one. If you find the window here for NURMS, if you notice, if you lose it or it's on the other screen, you can turn this on and off and kind of watch where it's popping up and then slide it to where you want. If you change the iterations, okay, that's going to make it more smooth, and it's going to basically give you more segments in there, okay. And you can notice for smoothing as well, we just usually leave that at 1 by default, and that gives us a pretty good operation. So the next step that I want to do, you can recolor this. I'm not sure if I'm fond of the purple Goomba. We have some limitations on our program. We're not going to get, you can go through and custom color it, but I'm just going to recolor it with this color for now to kind of set it up in the background. And the next thing, before I start to model this, if I like my shape and I'm set on it, you know, feel free to tweak it. Then you can go, and we are going to, let me just try to adjust one last thing. I think this brow is a little narrow, so feel free to do that. Let's just bring this out, and I'm going to slide it down a little. And maybe I'll grab the top here and bring that down. All right. Next step that we have, though, is we want to be able to edit it, and we don't want to have it go back to where we were. Ooh, I think I messed that up. I need to grab the front as well. I missed part of it. All right, let's check one last. All right. So the next thing that we want to do to kind of lock in our shape, we're going to right click on our shape, and we are going to just convert the whole thing to editable poly. Now, if you notice, NURMS turns off. I can turn it on and off, and it's a permanent change and adjustment into our shape, okay? And we have, let's click on, that's box, let's do it here. Box 2, box 1, okay? So we have 2 separate elements. I can recolor box, I should be able to recolor box 1, okay? And no. So what I need to do, if I want to have those separate properties, we can detach those, or here's attach. We can separate the selections. Let's just reconvert the bottom to editable poly again and see if it lets us adjust these individually here. Okay. And if it starts to act a little bit wacky, then make sure you go up and save often. All right, I'm going to go up and save. Okay, so file, save. Make sure I give it, I'm just going to call it Goomba, I guess. And give me 1 sec. I'll be back in 1 sec. Okay, thanks. I'm back. What I was looking for is the detach button in here, and right clicking, when you go to the quad menu, you have an attach button, but it doesn't show up in here. You need to find it in the geometry tab. So if I go up here and I select box 1, and I go and I click on my entire element for just box 1, now you notice I have either detach here in my geometry, or I also have it under geometry over here as well. So either one of these will work. I can detach it here, and now it's going to show up, and I'm going to label it, and I'm just going to call it stem 1. Okay. And then now I can click on stem, and I can recolor my stem to kind of a neutral color. Okay. So maybe that's not the one I was looking for, but that is how we can separate those and detach them. Now, next step, we want to go through and add some eyes on here. we have an editable poly. We want to just grab some, what do we want? Some cylinders maybe. And let's turn on auto grid, and that's going to allow us to model those cylinders on the front of our box. Okay, cylinders are going to be round. They're not going to be elliptical here. That's okay. We can use our scale tool, and we want to give a little bit of volume sticking out, but not much. Okay, and they can go into the shape a little bit. So I'm actually going to have them go a little bigger, like so. I'm going to change my height segments to maybe 3. Let's do 3 for our height segments here. And then, because I guess we could use an ellipse, but I just wanted a kind of a flat shape here. And we're going to use our scale tool then, and we are going to scale it with our scale tool. Okay, we're going to have to rotate it a little bit to get it to sit onto the plane of our Goomba. Okay, and before we do all the tweaking here, let's change the color. I'll make it white. Okay, and what else do we got here? What I'm going to do then is I'm going to use my NURMS tool and give it some roundness as well. So when I have that set up, I'm not really happy with my rotation right now. I think I need to turn my eye a little bit here and maybe rescale. I got it a little too tall. But here's where you're going to play with it. Get it to the shape you want. Okay. And then we are going to convert it to editable poly. We might as well get it to the shape that we really want. Okay. And then clone it. Instead of cloning it and having to do it twice, we're going to do it that way here. Let me rotate and just kind of bring it out. So play with it. Check your angles. If you don't want it to stick out that much, you can move it around, have it sink back into our Goomba. And then I'm going to do the pupil as well. And then I'll let you try the pupil using the same process and clone that. We should be good for using our clone tool up until now. And then the next thing, I'm gonna pause. I'm gonna do that off screen so that you can get those steps done, and then we're gonna come back in and do the mouth, the brows, and the teeth. How's that sound? I will see you in a few minutes. All right, I just wanted to check back with you, see how you're doing. Couple things. I got my eye kind of modeled and turned on with NURMS. Okay, rounded it out, and I made it thick enough that I could get that to stick through and not really have a gap behind it. I labeled it over here as eye instead of cylinder, and then I cloned it as eye pupil, and then I used my scale tool to scale it down. Now I can do this part on screen. I just want to make sure that you're able to multi-select over here in your Scene Explorer. We've been going up frequently and using tools and finding Scene Explorer here. If you notice the icon for it, it's this list basically. If we're in default, we also have that list icon right here. You can toggle on and off your Scene Explorer. I have my primary one here. This may toggle it off in your space. So if I kind of had accidentally collapsed this and detached it, it will turn it back on. But that's one of the ways. If it's not showing up, you can use this icon as well. I hadn't talked about that before. So we're just going to multi-select. So grab one, down, select your control key, and then click the other one. I'm going to hit shift and clone it and drag it over. If that's not working, you may need to reconvert it to editable poly. And then this one I'm going to call right eye, I guess. It would just call it eye. I'm going to call it eye right. And I guess my cap lock is on. Okay. And now we have right, and we have right pupil. So let me change this to right pupil. We'll just keep our space organized here and keep things labeled. You'll notice later on as you're seeing a lot more complicated. You don't want to be losing parts. I'll do this left, and we'll do this one left. So tweak that LFT, and now we need to rotate our eye. So I'm going to get a better view here. Maybe bring this in from the top, grab my rotation tool, and we'll swing it around like this. And we're going to have to rotate and slide our pupil around. Okay, it might take a little bit of finessing. And if you notice, when I did that, I also lost my pupil. So play around with that. Get your eye to line up. Okay. And you can pause the video. We will come back when you have those rotated and into position, and you're ready for the next step. So we'll see you in a few. Before we go on a little more, I want to show you one more thing. This part, because this is a non-regular shape, and this wants to move us in our X, Y, and Z coordinates according to our plane. We can change that, and this should make it easier for you to line things up. Go here under View, and we're going to click on Local, okay? And that's going to line things up with the top, bottom, and side of our shape here. Now I can slide it on my Z in and out, okay? I can double check that, and that should make things, when I rotate, you get your angle right, that should make it a lot easier to get that where you want. Same thing with the eye. Now I can slide this pupil over and it will kind of follow that plane, okay? And hopefully that makes it a lot easier to line things up. Looks like I have to rotate that. So give that a shot, and we are ready for the next step. For our next section, what we're going to do is we're going to work on the eyebrows here, I guess. We are going to just use a cylinder. We're going to model it. We're going to put a bend modifier in it, and then we can convert this to editable poly, and we can taper the ends. Okay, so let me undo here a few of this so you can kind of see my steps in there. So let me redo. I'm going to grab my cylinder then, and we're going to model that kind of towards the bridge of the nose. Hold on. Box cylinder. If I have my auto grid on, it's going to lock it down to the surface here. That's okay. I don't need to have it that thick. And I'm going to be looking in this window to see how long I want it. Just something like that is fine. My height right now, I guess, is 24. I'm almost about an inch, and I got 3 segments. So you're going to want a few segments in there. We can always add more if we need to. Let's grab your rotation tool. Let's just roll this around, okay? And my rotation point is down here. And, okay, I can kind of see how this is wrapping around. I can bring it down a little bit. And now we're just going to add a bend modifier on it. So we're going to go back into modify. This should be a review of what we did in the past. I'm going to go down here, find bend, and let's just up our angle, and we can see that that starts to wrap around a little bit. Okay, I can rotate this down and up and kind of tweak the way that oops, that this wraps around my Goomba. Okay. I'm going to bring it out a little bit and then maybe up my bend more so it goes back down and around. And if I want to have that arc, I can do that and bend it back down. So you can adjust that part at least. Once you have that, we're just going to get one done. We can clone it and we can flip it later. Okay. Now, what do you think the process is going to be for narrowing this down and making it fatter? Well, once again, we're going to go to convert to editable poly. I'm going to make this window bigger so I can start seeing what's going on. And we are going to get my select tool and we want to grab the end of our cylinder here. Now, I can't just use a loop. If you notice, it won't loop, but if I pull down this arrow, I can loop my cylinder end and I can scale this with my scale tool and I can make my eyebrow kind of narrow down. Okay. Before I do that, let me add a swift loop in here because it looks like it narrows down more here on one side than the other. So I'm going to add a swift loop here. Now I'm going to get out a swift loop tool, grab my end again. Okay. Loop the end by pulling down, loop my cylinder end. I am going to scale smaller and I'm going to skew it by grabbing my move tool and dragging it kind of down. Okay. Is it going to be perfect in this exercise? No. As you learn more skills, you'll be able to go back and really make this kind of better. The next step that I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this and I'm going to make this part bigger. So let's loop that. I'm going to scale here and bring my brow a little bigger. Okay. And I'm going to maybe grab and put a swift loop in here because what I want to do is I want to move this end. Let's grab loop my cylinder end, and then I want to move this kind of up and scale it down and make it skinny. Okay. So that's going to let me kind of really adjust my brow the way that I want. Okay. I can grab any of these places here, make sure you grab the whole loop and you can move those around now individually to adjust the way, okay, to adjust the way that your eyebrow is laying down. So adjust, scale, segment, and that is going to be the process that we get for doing our eyebrow. Okay. And I haven't figured, I don't know what it would look like if we turned it on with NURMS. We could try it real quick, I guess. I'm going to turn this part off. It smooths it out some. So feel free if you like that and you want to use NURMS, that's fine. You can use NURMS on it. Okay. You don't have to, but get at least one eyebrow made. Our video is starting to get long. If you know how to clone this and flip it, go for it. Otherwise, I think we'll pick up in the next episode, cloning this, flipping it around, and finishing off our Goomba. Thanks so much for joining me, and we will see you in the next one.